Welcome to the Everything Podcast, and in this episode I'm going to be recapping Dark Gallifrey Series 3, titled Dark Gallifrey Missy. But before I do, I'm recording this episode on the 20th of February 2026, and Dark Gallifrey Missy was released between April and June 2025, like the first two series and the series after it. One writer across the whole trilogy, and monthly releases, so part 1 releasing in April, part 2 in May, and part 3 in June. So before I get into that though, if you haven't already, please go and check out my recaps of Dark Gallifrey Morbius and Dark Gallifrey the War Master, because if you're listening to this episode on an audio platform, they have already been released. If you're watching on YouTube, not necessarily sure, but most likely. So let's start off with Dark Gallifrey Missy, Part 1. Here's the synopsis. Great events ripple across time, causing catastrophes and breaches in the fabric of reality. Soon, because of Dark Gallifrey, the renegade Time Lord known as Missy will be able to achieve the impossible. On a remote and isolated planet where technology cannot progress beyond steam power, two thieves are on the run. Hunted and trapped by automaton policemen, they look certain to hang for their crimes. Until Missy drops into their world, their lives are about to change forever, as is the fate of their entire planet. This episode was recorded on the 10th to the 12th of September and 18th and 19th of October 2024. Stars Michelle Gomez as Missy, as well as Bruce Alexander and Scratch, and Jonathan Case as Mortimer. I didn't necessarily need to include all of that cast, but I thought it made sense as they're featured along the kind of the box set, because we have learnt since Dark Gallifrey has been released that kind of initially each trilogy was going to be released as a box set rather than monthly releases, but monthly releases means technically more releases, same amount of content. So before I do spoil the events of Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 1, here's the trailer.
From Big Finish Productions, the worlds of Doctor Who, Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 1.
Well, this is the Royal Dockyard in Kingsgate, capital of the Wayland Empire.
No, don't mean a thing, love.
The planet Opus Thule, the planet no one ever leaves.
I see. So, basically, this is the back end of the universe.
Your Majesty, I have just met a most fascinating woman.
You have little time for such distractions, Lord Voltaire.
Her name is Missy, another Gallifreyan.
So, boys, I think this could be the beginning of a beautiful criminal partnership. Tomorrow, let's steal the crown jewels, shall we?
Your sentence has been confirmed. You will both be taken from here to a place of execution and there hanged by the neck until you are dead.
She's opened fire on the crowd!
Oh, don't worry, they're only people. Nobody important. Yet.
If you do not submit to arrest, you will be forcibly detained.
Oh, well, look at you. Aren't you just ridiculous?
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
That was the trailer for Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 1, but before I do discuss it, I should mention that Dark Gallifrey Missy kind of follows in the footsteps of Dark Gallifrey Morbius and being a 3-part story, or like Dark Gallifrey the War Master, which kind of isn't as 3-partery, it's kind of a 1-parter and a 2-parter. And even the 2-parter, you could argue, isn't necessarily because it's not a complete story, it's a bit topsy-turvy, inside out, upside down, whereas Dark Gallifrey, Missy and Morbius' start, like the first episode, Part 1's the start, Part 2's the middle, and Part 3's the end, with Doctors appearing in every Dark Gallifrey set that has been released so far, and probably some in the future as well. But before that, Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 1 sets up where we find Missy. This is basically Missy Series 5, because there's been 4 series that released prior to Dark Gallifrey Missy, which I will talk about in a future episode. But then not so many episodes. I think it's only a few. Just the way it's worked out, I didn't do that. Oh, let's go Missy heavy. Let's go, because I did it by range. I didn't go by actor or anything. I went by range, and it's just the way it's worked out. But Dark Gallifrey, Missy Part 1 kind of finds Missy on a planet. Her vortex manipulator is broken, so she's stranded, which annoys her, and she kind of has to get people to help her. So she's not as standalone, more as the lone wolf as we've seen her previously, especially in the some of the Missy Big Finish stories, whereas on TV Missy's is either working with or against the Doctor, obviously that being Peter Capaldi's 12th Doctor. So yeah, it's a great start, and then we move to Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 2, which was released in May 2025. I should have mentioned that the entirety of Dark Gallifrey Missy has been written by Rashana Patel, who is a well-known Big Finish writer. Here's the synopsis. Missy needs to find the Doctor, however it's very important it's the right Doctor. She wouldn't want to accidentally slip up and meet an earlier incarnation by mistake, because the consequences of that could be truly catastrophic. This episode was recorded on the 10th to the 12th of September and 18th to the 19th of October 2024, and stars Michelle Gomez as Missy, Sylvester McCoy is the 7th Doctor, Bruce Alexander as Scratch, and Jonathan Case as Mortimer. So before I do spoil the events of Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 2, here's the trailer.
From Big Finish Productions, The Worlds of Doctor Who, Dark Gallifrey, Missy Part 2.
Ah, that'll be for me. Ahoy! Hoy!
Who is this?
Missy!
You were right.
Naturally.
We're 5 years in the past. This is where and when the Doctor defeated the Malevolence.
Oh, don't mind me. Just want a quick word with the Doctor. Surprise! It's me. Where are you, big fella?
Hello. How do you do? Do I know you?
Your Royal Highness, look to starboard. That's the HMS Scorpion.
Captain, her gun ports are opening.
Right. Quick head count. Hands up if you're still alive.
Automaton, protect me.
Yes, ma'am. She must die.
But if you change my actions because of pre-knowledge from the future, that becomes a paradox.
So?
And who or what is the Malevolence?
Oh, I've no idea. But judging by the name, I imagine probably something quite bad.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
That was the trailer for Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 2, which was released in May 2025. And just a reminder, the entirety of Dark Gallifrey Missy was written by Rashana Patel. Obviously, Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 2 follows on directly from Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 1, which I actually forgot to mention in Missy Part 1, ends with Missy believes that she's accidentally time travelled 5 years into the past to where the Doctor was on this planet, which it was established in Part 1 that a Doctor, we didn't know which incarnation at the time, which incarnation of the Doctor, we just knew it was the Doctor. We would have done, yes, because it was announced like in December 2024 that Series 3 of Dark Gallifrey was Dark Gallifrey Missy and Sylvester McCoy, so we did know, but in story purposes, plot reasons, we didn't, is what I meant. And obviously including Sylvester McCoy's 7th Doctor thrown in the middle of the trilogy normally. So if we look at Dark Gallifrey Morbius, Tom Baker's 4th Doctor arrives in Part 3. Same with Jonathan Carley's War Doctor in Dark Gallifrey the War Master, again appearing in Part 3. So we've not had an appearance during the middle of the trilogy before. So that was an interesting way to put it instead of putting it at the end like they've happened in the previous series and future series as well. And kind of because of all that time, because obviously the synopsis clearly focuses on Missy wanting to make sure she meets her Doctor, which is obviously Peter Capaldi's 12th Doctor. But obviously she doesn't. She meets Sylvester McCoy's 7th Doctor, and that kind of throws out all time and all logic. So actually, spoiler alert, at the end of the episode, Missy ends up killing Sylvester McCoy's 7th Doctor. Whereas obviously in a normal reality, it would, because that's kind of what happens by doing that. It changes, and then nothing really matters anymore in this universe because it's not in the flow of time properly. It's it's a really dark ending, but obviously Dark Gallifrey doesn't have to have the tone that the Doctor Who audios do, because it is a bit darker. Obviously not as dark as Torchwood, but it is kind of a little bit darker, because you wouldn't have heard that. And we see Missy's evil side come out, which we've not heard in the audios. Obviously we saw it more on TV, kind of leaning into that side of Missy, whereas kind of in the audios and in her series 10 appearances on the TV show, that it was about her being good sometimes and kind of not being as evil as some incarnations of the Master or that she might want to be. So that was an interesting take. But that Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 2 leads us directly into, guess what, Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 3, which was released in June 2025 with the following synopsis. Choices have been made, fates are being forged. There are new friendships, new alliances and a war to be fought, plus an extremely dangerous new arrival. Again, this episode was recorded on the 10th to the 12th of September and the 18th and 19th of October 2024, and stars Michelle Gomez as Missy, Bruce Alexander as Scratch and Jonathan Case as Mortimer. So before I spoil the events of Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 3, here's the trailer.
From Big Finish Productions, the worlds of Doctor Who, Dark Gallifrey, Missy Part 3.
Here it comes. Ready your rifles.
If you open fire, you all die.
Hey!
Do not struggle.
Well, in terms of getting captured, 12 seconds is very poor form for me, and I normally at least get to murder somebody first. Never too late, though.
We have it! This is the day we turn the tide of this war.
Sever contact now! Never!
Wait, what are you doing?
We're telepathically connected, and she's trying to steal my body, knowing I'll never let her.
Heads up, everyone. The Foundry is dead ahead. We're approaching weapons range. Sound battle stations. Ready all cannons?
No, Colonel Scratch. Belay that order. We're not slugging this one out. Increase speed. Ram it!
Well, Mortimer, you need to keep the furnaces burning until I get back with the crown.
But there's hardly any coal left.
I know. I'll be quick. Kill the bad guys, save the world, back in time for tea and bickies.
Big Finish, for the love of stories.
That was the trailer for Dark Gallifrey Missy Part 3, which was released in June 2025, and alongside the entirety of Dark Gallifrey Missy was written by Rashana Patel. This episode, as I said about Part 2, is an interesting one because obviously Part 2 featuring Sylvester McCoy's 7th Doctor in the middle of the story instead of at the end, whereas this episode, basically Missy has to force being possessed basically by someone even worse than her, which obviously is a high bar considering some of her actions in whilst she's debuted in Series 8, especially in the new series Doctor Who Series 8 finale, when she basically recruits the Cybermen to help her, and then Series 10 she's slightly better, but then on the audios I think she kind of goes back a little bit. So yeah, without that's kind of it. But yeah, oh no, before I forget, kind of, if you're out of the 4 Dark Gallifrey, I'm going to do it now because otherwise I'll forget. Out of the 4 Dark Gallifrey series that have seasons that have released as of time of recordings, that's the first 4. Obviously Morbius, the War Master, Missy and Master. My favourites are the War Master and Missy, but again, I'm a new series fan, so maybe if you're a classic series fan, you might go with Master if you're a fan of the 8th Doctor TV movie era, or if you're a fan of like the Brains of Morbius, which is where Morbius was debuted, that maybe. But for me, if you had to choose, you could only choose 2 out of the 4, it would be Dark Gallifrey the War Master and Dark Gallifrey Missy. But I've still got one more Dark Gallifrey episode to come, because in the next episode I'll be recapping the most recent Dark Gallifrey series, that being Dark Gallifrey Master, as well as revealing the future of Dark Gallifrey and what it could look like. But without further ado, let me know what you thought of Dark Gallifrey Missy if you listened to it, my recap if you didn't, and without further ado, I will see you in a future episode of the podcast. See you then. Goodbye.